for the lead. Coming off turn number 4. Kyle Busch gives Jimmie Johnson room on the high side. Here he comes.
It's Sunday morning on CBS. And here again is Charles Osgood.
That's NASCAR star Jimmie Johnson keeping fast company last weekend at the Sprint All-Star race in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tonight, he's at it again in the Coca-Cola 600. In other words, just where he wants to be, as Lee Cowan shows us in a Sunday profile.
It's got a language all its own.
This is a bunch of hungry hounds right here, buddy, nipping at your heels.
A sound all its own. A feel all its own.
Inside, 3 wide.
And a danger all its own.
Outside. Got hit hard. Still getting hit hard.
NASCAR is so uniquely American, calling it redneck is actually a compliment. It remains the nation's #1 spectator sport, and for 5 of the last 6 years, it's been dominated by number 48.
The 48 is all long gone.
Jimmie Johnson.
Jimmie Johnson has won the Daytona 500.
I love being in traffic. I love watching a driver and understanding where they're weak.
Watch out, down low.
Way down comes Johnson.
And trying to find a way by.
He got up front last weekend and stayed there.
Jimmie Johnson and the Lowe's Chevrolet are going to victory lane and $1 million.
Earning a pretty hefty paycheck and a shower of confetti and champagne.
I always like to keep the champagne bottles from Victory Lane. I don't like champagne, but
you don't like champagne, seriously?
Well, the cheap champagne in Victory Lane's amazing.
He's the only driver in the 64-year history of NASCAR to win 5 straight championships. Not even greats like Richard Petty or Dale Earnhardt have done that.
Action to camera.
Making the 36-year-old one of NASCAR's most bankable stars.
As long as he's been winning, Jimmie's been racing Chevys, with a few exceptions.
I've never wanted to be a celebrity. I've wanted to be a racer. You know, my deal is racing cars, and that's what makes me happy, what I am passionate about, where my pride comes from.
There's a lot to be proud of. So much, he had to rent a warehouse near his home in Charlotte, North Carolina, just to store it all. The best man cave ever.
It's turned out well.
And everything in here has a story.
The color that's here, I was the young kid on the deal.
Yeah.
So this was the puppy chow dog food coloring. So I was in the puppy chow car.
That was long before he hit it big. Now he's even got his own video game, one that he designed, which I thought gave him an unfair advantage.
Have you ever played a game before?
Jimmie Johnson from California wins at Indianapolis, and the caution is out.
As much as he jokes about his success, it's serious stuff. Forbes magazine just dubbed him the country's most influential athlete for the 2nd year in a row. Not bad for a middle-class kid from Southern California, whose parents were also drivers. Dad drove a truck, his mom a school bus. Born in 1975 in El Cajon, outside San Diego, as long as Jimmie can remember, racing was on his mind.
My parents tell me that I was relentless. I want to race, I want a motorcycle, I want to race, I want this, I want that.
It seems like that anything with a motor you were attracted to from a kid.
Totally. I mean, our house wasn't all that nice, but we had cool toys.
His first cool toy was a dirt bike. This very one, in fact.
I got it. I remember being a little small for the bike at the time, and really
small for this?
Yeah, I mean, I was 4, barely riding a bicycle, and here I am on a motorcycle. So
he started racing at only 5. His parents made him do chores around the house to pay for his entry fees. For the next 20 years, from dirt bikes to off-road trucks to the asphalt, Johnson found something to race. Did it come naturally to you, racing? I mean, did you just have a knack for it?
I wanted it. I wanted to be good at it. But I wasn't the guy setting the world on fire.
He moved east to NASCAR country, Charlotte, North Carolina, before he even had a car to drive, and started hanging out where the crews ate lunch.
Find a seat, meet guys, talk to guys, pass out business cards, try to go to shops and meet management, sponsor hunters, agents, team owners, you name it.
Just trying to sell yourself.
Just trying to sell. It wasn't that I was sitting at home with a big dream of being a racer. I was out there trying to be a racer.
In fact, it wasn't until 2000, his first year in NASCAR, that fans took notice. And that wasn't for a win, it was for a wreck. He was coming off turn 1 at Watkins Glen in New York at 160 miles an hour when he lost his brakes.
As I came across the racetrack and I was airborne, off the wall that I could see was white. I assumed that it was concrete. And the angle and the speed that I had at the wall, I knew then and there that I wouldn't even survive it.
But the white wall wasn't concrete. It was styrofoam and cushioned the blow. To this day, the mangled hood of that car hangs on the wall in his shop.
The guys were nice enough to gift it to me.
He can laugh about it now. It all seems a long way from this.
That's right.
Hendrick Motorsports, the team he drives for now, is like the New York Yankees of NASCAR. Its gleaming, state-of-the-art garage is the envy of other teams. Jimmie has nearly 100 engineers and mechanics behind him, keeping his cars in shape. So how many cars, do you end up building every season?
Depends on how many I crash, or we crash. But on average, you go through 12, 15 vehicles.
His celebrity on the track comes with responsibilities off it. His Jimmie Johnson Foundation helps share his good fortune, giving millions to kids in need with a focus on better education.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
He works with a number of charities, including the Make-A-Wish Foundation. All 8-year-old Michael Martin wished for was to meet and take a ride with his hero.
All right, let's do this.
In a sport that has its roots in bootleggers outrunning the law, Jimmie Johnson seems like one of the good guys.
It's a great city. We really, really enjoy it.
You like it?
Love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Johnson and his wife Chandra live a long way from the noise and grime of the pits in a quiet, tree-lined neighborhood in Charlotte.
Gotcha.
Where they're raising their young daughter, Genevieve. Suddenly, the guy who was all about speed and sponsors has a different race to run.
Racing has been the focal point of my entire life. It's kind of defined me. But, I'm more concerned about Genevieve looking up to me down the road and saying, you were a great dad. And then I am concerned about what takes place on the track.
Their kisses before their races these days are different. There's more on Jimmie's mind than the finish line.
And I remember vividly an image of Dale Sr. kissing Teresa Earnhardt and then climbing in the car, and unfortunately, he was killed that day. So sometimes my mind flashes to that, and it's like, no, don't think about it. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, well, I just kissed my wife and my daughter, and you climb in the car and go to work. And I think that being aware of those emotions and recognizing them helps me make better decisions.
Here we go for $1 million.
It's a razor-thin line, one he's raced on all his life.
The day I'm flinching, the day I'm worried about my job, the day I'm thinking about, I don't want to make this move because I'm going to get hurt, that's when I need to be aware of things and step down.
But for now, Jimmie Johnson has plenty of laps to go.